wonderful. And just like you, it was my own curiosity that led me to working right here at SeaWorld. We receive so many questions about killer whales each and every day, from kids and grown-ups of all ages. We gathered those questions and put them all together right here in this Killer Whales Up Close book to share with you today. Now we've connected the book so that you can see everything up on the big screens. Now, if you're ready to get started, it's my privilege to introduce you to Christy.
Good morning, Marcy. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? Great. Well, I'm excited to introduce to you our family of killer whales. Now, coming out first is our proud mom. She just gave birth 9 months ago to her new baby. Coming out to say hi to all of you. Everyone say hi to me. Right here at stage at our crew, Vicky is Kalia's calf. Her name's Amaya. She's 9 months old and weighs in at almost 800 pounds. Now coming out next is Kalia's brother. Jumping around the pool, ladies and gentlemen, this is Makani. This is Makani's brother. Today is actually his 14th birthday. He's coming out to say hi to the Sub Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Nakai. And last but certainly not least, he's the mom to all of these killer whales. Grab under to Amaya. She's our matriarch. She is in charge of all 10 killer whales. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Kasatka. Now SeaWorld is home to 11 killer whales. We have 5 males and 6 females. Now the average age is about 33 years old, but they do range from Amaya, who's just 9 months old, all the way up to 51 years old.
You can see how different each whale is. But did you know that there are even bigger differences in the wild? Would you be surprised if I told you that there are actually different types of killer whales? Scientists refer to them as ecotypes. They live in different habitats, have different body types, and even pursue different kinds of food. But although these ecotypes are different, killer whales are still considered members of one species, Orcinus orca. One of the questions that we get asked here all the time is how big will a killer whale grow to be? Well, that depends on what ecotype you're talking about. Is it a 16-foot female in Iceland or a 30-foot male from Antarctica? Let's take a closer look.
The remarkable thing about killer whales, no matter which type, is that they are found throughout our global ocean, from the Arctic to the Antarctic, and literally everywhere in between. They are found in so many different habitats and depend on such a variety of marine life for survival that killer whales are more intertwined with the fate of our ocean than any other marine animal. Truly, these awesome animals are the living symbol of our ocean, representing so much more than their own species.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it again for our killer whale family. Okay, let's check out some of your great questions. Here we go. So many people wonder about our trainers. In fact, raise your hand if you ever wanted to be an animal trainer. Wow, well, that's a lot. Then let's meet some of our dedicated trainers who interact with our family of killer whales every day.
On the far left-hand side is Michelle. And that stage is Emily. Vicky. My name is Christy. Andre. And Missy.
Our trainers are so passionate about what they do here every day. And you know, that makes me think of another one of your great questions. Here it is. Do the trainers talk to the whales? I'll let you answer that one, Christy.
We know, Marcy, we don't talk to the killer whales like you and I talk to the other. But what we have done is train them hand signals, which helps us to develop the very strong relationships that we have with each of these animals. Now, because of this connection, one of the things that we're able to do is answer important questions through research.
Here at SeaWorld, we have a unique opportunity to conduct research about killer whales, asking important questions that can only be answered in a setting like this. So much of what we learn here is being used to help killer whales in the wild. Of course, there are other questions that can only be explored by studying whales in the ocean. By exploring questions both at SeaWorld and in the wild, our combined research gives all of us a better understanding of killer whales and the places they live.
And that's what I call working together. Research flowing in both directions, from our park to the wild and then back again. That way, everyone benefits. All right, let's check out our next question. Oh, perfect. This individual wonders why whales jump, and I just happen to have that emoji. Look. You know, killer whales communicate in a lot of different ways. Sometimes they vocalize, and sometimes they use their bodies. A jump, where they do jump out of the water, is called a breach. This is when they make a sound on top of the water. It causes a commotion both above and below the surface. They may do this out of excitement, to display a little power, or just to get the attention of the other whales. Some of you may have heard of Kalia's new calf, Amaya. SeaWorld social media fans actually helped to name her. Here at SeaWorld, we see newborn calves rely on their mothers for everything, from the very first moment of birth.
As a calf grows and gains some independence, it is looked after by other whales in the pod too. They help the mother protect the calf, teach it survival skills, and show the calf how to romp and play. Killer whales live in family-like groups known as pods. Like human families, their pods can range in size from just a handful of whales up to a few dozen.
Now, this is a really important question. Does having a killer whale breeding program here at SeaWorld help whales in the wild? Absolutely. Our successful breeding program helps us understand the developmental needs of pregnant mothers, newborn calves, and young killer whales. This is critical information because this is when whales are most vulnerable in the wild. Gaining this kind of knowledge can only be done through the research that we are able to do right here at SeaWorld.
Recently, SeaWorld worked with researchers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, to help them develop a model for identifying when a killer whale is pregnant by looking at aerial images of the animal in the wild. Prior to this cooperative effort, where SeaWorld provided direct, unparalleled access to our pregnant whales, researchers had no solid way of knowing whether or not a female in the wild was carrying a calf.
Now, that's a lot of questions, but believe it or not, we get them every day.
We sure do. You know, killer whales communicate using all sorts of sound. They do this by moving the muscular flaps in their blowhole. Let's listen.
They blow bubbles, bump into each other, or even scratch each other with their teeth, causing something called rake marks. These are the multi-line marks that you may see on the skin of some killer whales and dolphins. This is one of the ways they display dominance over one another during social interactions, both in the wild and here at SeaWorld. Now, we just learned that killer whales vocalize and use body language to communicate with each other. Do you guys remember how we communicate with them? That's right, through signals. Here at SeaWorld, we communicate with our whales, and we want the next generation to be able to do the same.
All right, well, now's my favorite part of the show. We have two volunteers from the audience. We're going to see how they do interact with the killer whales. So over on the left-hand side is Maddie. Everyone give Maddie a nice wave hello. And on the right-hand side is Patrick. Now, it looks like Maddie just had an opportunity to give Kalia a snowball. And she just hit
let's check out this next question. Oh, who takes care of you, shampoo? I love that question because it allows us to give you a peek about how we care for these extraordinary animals. Well, Christy, are the trainers ready?
We sure are. You know, when we train the killer whales different behaviors, this allows us to take better care of them. The animals actually participate in their own health care. And we'll show you a couple of examples. You see Kalia is laying out. She's offering Andre her tail. Now, she is over 4,000 pounds. So if Kalia doesn't want to participate in this, she can move forward. Andre, even though he looks really strong, is not strong enough to hold Kalia there. So we can approximate, meaning we take small steps to allow a veterinarian to come in and take a blood sample to ensure their health. Now, another behavior we ask for the killer whales is to come up here in the slide-out area. And also, it's very impressive for you to see the full size of the killer whale. This is an important husbandry behavior. When this is asked in our back pool, we have a very large scale. We take a weight on every one of our killer whales each week to ensure that they're growing properly. Now, the high energy behaviors such as fast swims, breaches, bows that you see in the show are behaviors that the animals do out in the wild and here at SeaWorld. Now, these behaviors ensure that the killer whales get the exercise that they need each and every day.
You know, Christy, I'm sure some of our guests are also wondering, how much does a killer whale need to eat to stay healthy?
We know depending on each killer whale, they have different dietary needs just like you and I. So Amaya, who's on the far end interacting with Vicky, is nursing from her mom. So she drinks milk all throughout the day, but she has begun to eat fish. She's only eating 5 pounds every day, but she doesn't need this fish because all of the nutrition comes from Kalia. Now Makani's eating about 40 pounds a day, all the way up to Ulysses, who eats 150 pounds every day. Now here's Kasatka, our matriarch. She's an older female. Now she's on the smaller side, a little over 5,000 pounds. So she eats about 120 pounds each and every day. So regardless of what the animals do, whether interacting with us trainers, learning something new, or just hanging out, they're going to get all of their food each and every day, regardless of what they do.
Because we've been able to determine how much a killer whale eats throughout different stages of their life, researchers are able to use this information out in the field to determine if ocean habitats are healthy enough for killer whale populations to thrive. And that type of information is invaluable.
So food, exercise, and physical for our veterinarians aren't all our killer whales need. Each whale's well-being is very important to us. We want to make sure that their minds are stimulated and their bodies are enriched. So if you take a look up on the big screen, you can see some examples of some of the toys that we offer to killer whales. Those big toys with the straps seem to be their favorite. We can also pull kelp out from Mission Bay, and of course we can make them a special gelatin that doesn't contain any sugar. Now we have a variety of ways that we can enrich the animals. You can see that Andre's playing a game with Kalia. Over on the stage, Missy's offering Kasatka a nice water massage. So depending on each animal's personality, we'll dictate what each trainer does to increase their relationship, their trust, and of course, their personalities help us to determine what they find reinforcing. Now this time that we spend with them is very important. Like I said, it does help us to establish our important relationships. Now with all the puzzles and games that we provide for the animals, we've still found that the best enrichment comes through the social interaction of all 11 killer whales, and of course, with our team of experienced trainers.
Now, how about a question for all the kids out there? They'll want to know who would win if a killer whale squared off with a great white shark. If you think the great white shark would win, raise your hands. Okay, how many of you think the killer whales would win? That's right, killer whales. You see, a great white shark hunts alone, where a killer whale hunts in a pond. So it's not even a competition. Killer whales have been known to hunt a blue whale. Do you know how big a blue whale is? At over 80 feet, it's the largest animal to have ever existed on the planet. The killer whales can hunt these huge animals because they coordinate, collaborate, and cooperate. They work together as a group to overcome challenges much bigger than themselves. We can learn a lot from them about how to overcome the challenges our ocean faces. In fact, if we collaborated like killer whales, we could help change the fate of the ocean, and maybe the world. Great, now here comes a lot of questions, and we get them all the time, so here we go. Why do some dorsal fins curve? Now that's a great question. Dorsal fins have no skeletal support, such as bones or cartilage, to support their height and weight. They are made completely of connective tissue. So if an animal spends more time at the surface of the water, the tissue in that dorsal fin may weaken and a fin will bend. We occasionally see curved dorsal fins both in the wild, like in this picture, and here at SeaWorld. Next question. How fast can they swim? Depending on their body weight, killer whales can swim close to 30 miles an hour. Check it out. Now that's fast. Next question. How much water can their tails splash? Their tails, or flukes as they are called, are strong enough to fling a whole lot of water about halfway up those stands. Last one. If all the whales splashed all at once, could they get the whole audience wet? Well, maybe not the whole audience.
Oh, no.